dedicated machine DB server what we have, right? So I'm using my desktop here. I'm using my desktop and having database in that. So the same two basic challenges even for database. What is that? The user community always grows. The number of users, the number of people who are accessing data, they're always growing. The number of people, they're always growing. If this is happening and very fast they are growing the number of people in my business. So what is required here? You tell me please. Because with every user connection request to serve them, we require the sufficient CPU time. CPUs are required, and even with every process to serve him, right, we require memory. So you tell me now, what is the maximum memory I can grow or I can upgrade in my machine? Initially I started with a 4 GB RAM with a dual core something, but I think I can go up to 4 core quad core nowadays. And how much memory I can grow? Max. This is desktop, right? I'm trying to increase more because as the user community is growing, to serve each user process, so server process which is running in my server, right, to support them we require more CPU, faster, and more CPUs are required to serve them. So I have to simply add more CPUs and add more memory. Can you please tell me what is the memory I can grow max? 8 GB? Any more? No, I can grow more further. It all depends on the number of slots we have, right? Memory slots. Generally, desktops you will have 2 slots. If I'm buying a 4 GB card, 8. If I'm buying 8, 16. If I'm buying 16, because now we got latestly 16 GB card even, 16 plus 16 it will become 32 GB. Okay, let me take the standard one, 8 GB card. So I can grow up to 16 GB. Let's take. There's a limit. So can I grow beyond that? No. The question that if my users are still growing, and what is the question? What you will do then in that case? If my users are still growing, I can't add more CPU and more memory. I reach to the maximum limit here, right? So obviously performance is affected. This is the one big challenge as user community is growing. I reach to the limit. Coming to the second area, my database is growing. My data is growing, right? Faster and faster. What should I do? As data is growing, please go on add more disks. So I'm trying to add more disks here. So you tell me in desktop, what is the size of capacity of a disk you will be having? You can have. What is the size of a hard disk, please? So please everyone try to answer. There are no minus marks, please. Okay, you can try, no problem. 1 terabyte. Yeah, now let us see, we got 2 terabyte, even 3 terabyte hard disks are coming up in the market. So let's take the standard 1 terabyte. Okay, now question, if 1 terabyte of hard disk filled up, what should I do? If 1 terabyte got filled up, what should be done? Don't say please delete data. So I'm going on adding the disk. So how many disks I can add, right? How many disks I can add? That all depends on what you have a controllers, right? So there are two types of controllers are available. One is called as the IDE controller, right? And you will have this IDE controllers. How many? So 2 controllers are available. Just hold please. Okay, let's continue. So based on the controller, so what controller you have currently? So if the older one, like example, if you have an IDE controller, there are 2 IDE controllers will be there, used to be there in the desktop. So how many hard disks you can connect? If you see your older machine desktop, right? It's a 3-inch white color, a big cable. The one end will be on the motherboard, the other end will be on to the disk, connected to the disk, right? Remember, if you open the hard disk and motherboard connected, and the cable contains one side 2 ends where you can connect 2 hard disks, and the one will be going to the disk level. So like one is going to the motherboard, the other side two ends I can connect two hard disks like this, 1:2. It's like a 1:2. I can connect two hard disks to one IDE controller. In that case, I can have few more disks like this, and I can connect to another one. There are two IDE controllers will be there, and you can connect like this. Total how many disks I got? 4 disks. So 4 into 1 terabyte, total becomes how much? 4 terabytes I can go. I'm trying to come out with the maximum value. 4 terabytes IDE. But nowadays we are getting a new controller called as a SATA controller. So in the SATA controller again it's like a one-to-one relation. In SATA it's like a one-to-one purely. So in SATA controller what you'll have? You'll have the same 4 hard disks you can have. But here the controllers are also 4. Now you are getting one-to-one relation. So obviously performance will be faster more in the second one because we have only one-to-one, and first is only like one-to-many, and the hard disk generally you will be having 5400 RPM, 5400 RPM hard disk. And coming to this area, right? So ID, this the other controller, sorry, not ID, SATA what we call, you can have up to 7200 RPM, rotates per minute, RPM, rotates per minute. The older one is ID, the latest one we got is called as a SATA. So now you have all desktops or laptops, right? SATA controllers. So generally you'll have four controllers, four controller cards will be there. So earlier we used to have ID, there are only two, but this is like a one to many. The IO bandwidth of these two disks is completely controlled by one ID. So performance will be slower, latency will be more, and disk speed is also smaller in previous. Now we got SATA, right? So high performance disk, so 7200 RPM, it's a one to one. Latency was less, performance is improved automatically. The IOs are good enough. So you have to, in both the cases, what is the size? Total size I will be having. Same 1 terabyte of disk, if I consider, maximum I can go up to 4. So I got 4 terabyte of storage. 4 terabytes of storage. The question that, in case if this 4 terabyte is filled up, 4 terabyte got filled up, then what? So my data is growing, right? Data is going on growing. Huge, faster. So now question that if my 4 terabyte got filled up, then again still I have the same question still available here, that what you will do. These two are the very basic challenges, and now I seen I reached to the max limit of my machine, that is my desktop which I am using, right? So one is what the user community growth. Still if it is going beyond that and I can't add more resources to serve them. Second, as data is growing more and more and it reaches the maximum limit that 4 days I can have, I already filled up, then what is the question? There is one more thing, third, right? As user community is growing, the one, the second is the other one. Third question we got, if I'm planning to change my business model, because nowadays if you look at, right, most of the businesses they have changed that model, and now they are all saying or calling themselves that we are going to provide you availability, or nothing but a small term came that is called as a 24/7. If you look at now, right, Coffee Day, even Pizza Huts and many more, right, every businesses they are offering like a 24/7 we are available, round the clock they are available. When I say round the clock, now I'm just even bothered about my machine. Now if I'm still using the same desktop, can I run it for 24/7? Really big challenge here, right? Might be I can run my desktop continuously for 1 hour, 2 hours, right? Or sorry, 1 day, 2 days, or even 1 week, 2 weeks, mostly 1 month continuously without taking it down. It is running. I can't expect more than a month, obviously. Why? Because their components are not designed to run continuously, because each machine when it is running, it generates lot of heat and they can't manage the heat. If they are overheated, they can burn out. They can crack the fire. Right? Possible, 100% possible. They are not designed for it. Main thing that they are not designed. Something like you take your 150cc bike here, right, and go on a outer ring road, and with a high speed you just drive. What will happen after 30, 40, 50 kilometers? right? So what is the max speed? Continuously you drive it. After 30 kilometers, right, it gets off. Why? Overheated. You just stand up and then wait it for get it cooled, right? Because they are not designed. Yeah, you can drive as fast as possible the max speed, but not continuously, right? These desktops you can use it, but they are not used purpose for the continuous running. And if I'm talking about availability here, that's another big concern for me, that I can't run this machine 24/7. So I got few challenges, like as the user community is growing, as data is growing, right? And even availability, my desktop machine is not supported. I reach the max. So what should I do? Okay, so in the market there are other machines are available. They are saying offering that, okay, why can't you upgrade or move into this one? So we will provide you the best. Fine. So can you tell me like how much max CPU or memory? Because the first question is that if my user community is growing, how you are going to handle that? The first question is still is there, right? So don't worry, man. It is saying that you can go on add more and more CPUs as you wanted. You're bothered about the CPU and memory. Don't worry. So CPUs you can go on add. How much? You started desktop with 4 core. You can go with 8 core here. 4 core same. No, 8 core upgrade or 16 core if you want more. Yes, you can still grow. You can still grow. 32 GB, not 32 GB, sorry, 32 CPUs, not 32 core, 64 core, not 64, 128 core. Wow, you can, right? If you talk about memory, 16 GB, start with 16 GB if you want, right? No 32 GB, 64 GB RAM, not required. You want more 128 GB, you require more 256 GB, you want more 512 GB of RAM. 512, not enough. You want some more? Yes, you can do. You add more. 512 GB not enough. 1 terabyte. You want more memory? Yes, you can add 2 terabyte. See here, we're talking about the server RAM, not mobile RAM. Sorry, mobile is in only GBs, right? So here servers, you can see what the max I'm growing. 2 terabyte, more than hard disk size in desktop. Yes, you can. So that's why these machines are called as servers. The first one is the desktop, what we discussed, right? And now we got here servers. So I have to upgrade. Yes, I should upgrade. So once I upgrade to server, right, as I wanted, I'm growing and I can easily handle this issue, the user growth, right? So it is handled completely perfectly. Yes, please. Right. As the users are growing, go and add more and more CPU and memory. Not a big problem. They support. Now coming to the storage, as data is growing, right? I have the same 1 terabyte disk. So actually in servers, people won't use the same bigger size 1 terabyte. Why? Because in case a disk got failed, I have to replace the disk, restore how much data? 1 terabyte of data, which takes lot of time. Recover the data now, how much data? 1 terabyte of data, which takes more time. So restore and recoveries will be taking more time because of a huge data loss. That is nothing but the disk size 1 terabyte. That's why in servers people prefer a smaller disk like 300 GB, 120 GB, 70 GB, 70 GB just, yeah. In case one disk is lost, I'm simply immediately replacing the hard disk, restore only 70 GB data or 120 GB data, then recover how much? Only 120 GB data. Enough. So faster recoveries will be happening. Okay, still let me consider same like 1 terabyte. So if I'm having the hard disk, how many hard disks I can connect? Again, I can have in my server. It all depends on the controller what you are using. Controller. So in desktop we are using what controllers? IDE and SATA controllers are used in desktop. Let's look at server. So what controller I can use here? I'll be using SAS controller. Right? In desktop, you'll be using IDE and SATA, but coming to the servers, they are all SAS controllers. It's like again 1 to 1, 1 to 1. So when I'm using SAS controller, right, how many, what is the capacity I can have? They start with 7200 RPM, 7200 RPM. Not only that, if you want, you can grow. You can have bigger one also. You can have 8000, 10k RPM. You can have 12k RPM. You can have 15k RPM, 15k RPM also. That's really big, fastest disk. But remember, the fastest disk generate more heat. Any machinery you utilize or use it max with a max speed, it generates heat, more heat. So you require a proper cooling, else it can damage your machine. Right? Proper cooling should be taken care. So like this, the support for the bigger high-speed disks even SAS controllers are there. But now, as data is growing, the second challenge for me, right? What you are doing with the data growth, how you are going to manage. So obviously I'll be adding more and more disks, but how many you can add here in this machine is the server, what we call, right? It depends on the SAS controller and the ports we have on them, SAS controller and the number of ports. You'll be buying the server with the number of port, like having a SAS 4 port. So 4 disk hard disk you can connect, not more than that. If you're buying with a 6 or 8, you can have only that many disks. So maximum if we calculate, so the best possible, I can go up to 50, sorry, yeah, 15 hard disks, 15 disks I can connect to my SAS, and I can consider them as a 15 terabyte, because each one, if I take the maximum size 1 terabyte hard disk, 15 terabyte is my capacity in my server. Question still exists the same place. What if my data is still growing above 15 terabyte? If my data is growing above 15 terabyte, is it possible? Why not? There are many companies are there who have taken the market, right? Flipkart, how old it is, right? Myntra, Jabong in India especially, right? Might be you heard the names. How old they are? E-commerce sites, they're recent, very recent. They're growing too fast. Every one of us, we do shopping or not, we have our accounts there, information and many more. Same thing. So data is growing too fast for those companies. So if it got filled up all the 15 terabyte, what should I do? I don't have a space, because you know the servers, right? They are tower server. I'm talking about towers are a little big box than your desktops. A bigger box kind of thing. 15 hard disk, yes, I can accommodate, not more than that. 50 not possible, right? 50. You can see that box is having a size, a limited size. So in that situation cases, what should I do? Example, if in your laptop 1 terabyte hard disk is there in your laptop, data got filled up, 1 terabyte is completely full. What you will do now? Tell me please. Fast. You'll be getting the external USB hard disk, right? Connecting, and all your non-frequent data, not regular data, old data like movies and many more things, software dumps and everything, you'll just move it into done, and regular data you'll try to keep it on your laptop. The same thing, I'm trying to connect the extra hard disks here, extra hard disk, but how? Through same USB port, because I'm not talking about 15 terabyte, might be I require 5 more terabyte, 20 terabyte. I can't go and connect each disk separately. So what I do, I'm going to buy a box, with all the disks. You'll have all hard disks in that. You can keep all your hard disks in that, and you can connect this box to your machine. Where? To one of your SAS controllers. So see here, be with me please. I'm connecting to one of my SAS port. So what this box is called? This box is called as JBoard. What does JBoard mean? Just bunch of disks. Right? Just bunch of disks, nothing. Don't try to understand anything more. So it's simple, just a bunch of disks in a box connected to one of my SAS controller. But here another problem, that the total all the disks IO is completely limited to your SAS controller port. Right? It will be very dead slow, the IOs. I want a good performance for my IO activity, because whenever I'm transferring SAS controller, no, I don't want to use that. So in that case, you have other choice. You can attach separate controllers to my server, and the storage is also coming. This box also coming with the separate controllers, right? So which gives you the maximum data transfer, the fastest speed. So we call them as, you have two variations. One is iSCSI, right, or FC, fiber controller. So if I'm buying a storage with iSCSI, I'll be connecting the iSCSI controller in my server, remember. Or if I'm buying a controller with FC, I have to place the FC controller in my server, iSCSI or FC. Example, I bought a D2H box, D2H, right, at home, D2H box, dish. So it is having a HDMI port. The same way, my TV should have the HDMI port, HDMI, then only I can connect, right? Else there is no use. So I have the D2H box with HDMI, my TV should also have the HDMI port, then only I can connect. Plus third, we require a HDMI cable also. I can't use any other cable and connect it to that. So right, this is a compatibility between each other, so that then they can transfer the maximum data transfer with that channel. So same case here, if I'm buying a storage with iSCSI, I should have iSCSI controllers, we call them as a controllers in the server, which can receive the same amount of data with the same capacity you have to maintain. And if you are using a fiber channel controller, FC controller, you should have in the server also FC controller, and data transfer will happen using that. So you require a FC cable also to connect them. So like this, there are two connectivities are there. One is I can make use it by iSCSI or through FC. So extra disks I'm connecting through my additional controllers, separate controllers, right, for my storage box using iSCSI or FC. So iSCSI gives me around 12 gigabit speed, 12 gigabits, that is bits per second speed, and FC can give you up to 16 gigabits, bits, that is not bytes again, it is bits per second, right? So iSCSI and FC. Okay, right, next. So like this, I can attach to my server. So more and more disks is the more and more space requirement. So I can simply go and add like this more and more box by placing a switch in between at the storage. So you can have a switch here in between, and you can add more and more storages now. So if you have more storages, add, right? So like this, I can go and have 50 hard disk, 100 hard disk also. Let me consider like example, I got 50 terabyte of data. So obviously 50 terabyte of storage required. So I bought multiple boxes and I placed the data in all. Now so after some time, what I found in my server, that my server CPU is becoming more loaded. Why? What is the job of my CPU? CPU will perform two tasks. What is that? One is IO and processing. What do you mean by that? Example, full table scan. I'm going to read data from the disk. What is required? CPU is required to perform the IOs. I'm reading all the blocks from the disk and placing in memory. After placing in memory, because you find a query, select star from EMP, order by salary. Is data in the blocks? Is it in order format? Group by, is it in group format? No, it has to order by or group by sum of functions or anything, right? It has to do. What is required again? CPU required. So CPU is required to perform IO, and even CPU is required to complete your processing, right? Order by, group by, and many more things. So there is CPU is required for this. So what I found here, my CPU is becoming more loaded and busier. Why? Because it is performing. No, I'm using my CPU to perform the IOs on my external additional disks. So you are going on adding more and more storages. You are saying in all these disks, what is required to perform? CPU is required. CPU is becoming more busier. I see that CPU is taking more and more time in performing IOs more than the processing. More than processing, it is spending more time on IOs. Hundreds of disks I got. I have to perform IOs on all the disks. CPU servers are busier now. So what should I do? You have a choice, another choice. What? Let me go and have another kind of box, storage. What it contains? The same hard disk, same set of hard disks you got, plus some additional extra components you will be getting in this. Extra components? Yes, please. You got some extra components in this. What are those? Something like you have the storage box. They have their own operating system. They will be having their own management softwares. They have their own operating system, and even they have their own management software. Even they have their own memory, right? And even they have their own CPU. Some extra components are added. This is the one extra additionally added, like they have their own OS, management software, CPU and memory. So they have their own CPUs. As now you can connect these to your storages, servers. So your servers now you can attach these storages, right? They have their own intelligence in them. So whenever IO need to be done by my DB server, it is going to signal to this management software. This software is for using its local CPU and memory. It performs the IO on all the disks. His job using the local CPU takes all this data and gives back to my DB server. So meanwhile my DB server is idle, it can go on doing processing because IOs are not done on this by DB server CPU. It is taken care at the storage level itself. So these extra components are helping my DB server CPU to do more on processing instead of IO, because now I have the local resources like CPU, memory and software, everything which will take care of the IO part locally. This is called as the intelligent storages. So that's why we got two types of storages. One is called as the intelligent storage, and the other one is called as a non-intelligent because it contains only the box, right? So we call these boxes as what? Non-intelligent. So we have two types of storages. One is intelligent, another is non-intelligent. So obviously the intelligent storage is giving me the more options here, choices, even DB servers are properly, the resources are properly managed here, right? But they are expensive too compared to this. So overall the vendors were providing me all these storages. Let me take a name topper, that is EMC. EMC is the leader who is having, same like Oracle, who is grabbed already the market of the storages. EMC is the one storage. We have NetApp, you have even Hitachi, many other vendors, product vendors also like even Dell, HP, IBM, IBM storages. Earlier used to be Sun, now it is Oracle, right? So these are all these vendors, plus many more vendors are there. So they are the top list like kind of things, popularly known. These all these vendors are providing you the storages. Yeah. So like this, my both the issues are solved here. One, as the user community is growing, go on add more and more resources, CPU and memory, server, they support you. As data is growing, what should be done? Don't worry, go and add more and more storages. You got two types of storage, intelligent, non-intelligent, and this issue is also got solved here. Perfect. Both are taken care. So in most of the companies, any average or growing companies, you'll be seeing the servers with storages. Very common. But now coming to the third question, right, that is called availability. Are you going to have the availability? Means what? In case if your storage is down, storage went down. This is a hardware machine, right? Possibilities are there. If your storage is going down, what you will do? How it is managed? Don't worry, I'll be maintaining one more storage. So I'll be having two storages and I will do a mirroring between them. Data mirroring. Even one storage is down, still I am continuing accessing data from the other one. So you require one more storage here to improve availability or provide availability. Perfect. The same like if my server is going down, DB server is going down, right? I require one more server to be there. I should immediately shift to the second server and continue my work, right? So like this, not only at the storage and server, each and every layer you have to design or you have to configure. Example, right? So I'm talking about a server and a storage. In case one storage is failed, no problem. I'm planning to have one more storage and data will be replicated between them. I have a switch through which I'm communicating or get connected. So I'm connecting through AFC controller and I'm connecting to both the storages, right? And data mirroring is happening. One server failed, no problem. Still I am able to continue my task from the other because the data mirroring is happening in them. Mirroring, right? So this is giving me or providing me the maximum availability part. Yes, availability was given, data availability, storage level taken care, great. Coming to the server, due to some reason with my hardware, the server completely failed and server is completely down. What should I do? If server is completely down, right, obviously I require one more server. One more server is required for me and I am going to connect this server to my what we call this storages and I can start accessing. So this is considered as a backup server for me as 100%. This is my production server and this will be acting as a backup server, right? In case production is down, then only I'm immediately shifting to the other server and starting working there, right? Start working on that. But how much time it will take? The downtime is there, right? The production is down and you are immediately shifting to the other server and continuing your work. There is some downtime available. So how much downtime? That all depends on what? You need to install the operating system here. You need to install your Oracle Home even, right? You require the Oracle Home and then anyhow no need of restoring any backup, but you have to start up the resources, services, listeners and ASM instances, which will take let me consider here, which will take around 15 minutes to bring up this thing. Sorry, not 15 minutes. OS and Oracle Home will take around 1 day. Let me consider as a 1 day for these two. And around 15-20 minutes or half an hour for my Oracle database instance to bring up. So client is advising, asking, Carl, can you minimize the time? It is taking too long time. So let's do one thing. Let our backup server be active. Active means it should be always running, right? So I'm running both the servers parallelly. So what is the main here? Whenever I apply a patch in my Oracle Home or operating system level in production, I have to apply the same patch or upgrade the same home at my backup server also. So I'm keeping ready my OS and Oracle Home in my backup server with a similar version and a patch. Everything is readily available. Only thing that you have to just bring up your Oracle instances by copying all the required configuration files and configuring this machine as new DB server, make it accessible. How much time it will take? So let me consider it takes around 15 minutes, 1-5. So customer said happy, I'm happy with 15 minutes of time downtime, no problem. Right, in case production is going down, you are saying that your DBA can bring up this machine within 15 minutes. Yes, that's the thing. Because everything is readily available. Data is available in the storage. So the same server will be accessing this data. But what happened? One day the production went down and I got a message. But where I'm stuck up. I'm the main DBA. So I stuck up in a traffic. So reaching office, it took around half an hour. And again following those steps, right? 15 minutes. So 45 minutes is considered as a downtime now. Right? There could be many other scenarios where possibilities are there. Your downtime could be increased because the downtime is based on how fast, how soon you react to that issue. If it got delayed, a number of reasons, your downtime is increasing. And now at last, who is the sufferer? Client is the sufferer here, right? Client. So he's not crying, man. So you people guys so told me that around 15 minutes is the downtime, but now it is taking more than 15 minutes. It's around half an hour. Sometimes it could be 1 hour or 4 hours based on the person, the DBA main guy. He has to respond is to the issues. He might be out of station. It takes some time for him to log in and do the things. Meanwhile, it is a downtime. Customer is losing the business. Every second is valuable for every customer, because initially when I started my business, the same example, it was very small, so I gone through the desktop. But over a period of time, if my business has doing well, so obviously I have to spend more in my hardware to support my business, right? So I don't want to lose my business. So that's why these machines are very critical for me. Every second is countable. I'm earning with every second. If it is down every second, I'm losing it, right? So business is critical for everyone. In that situation, right? So I'm just bothering here. Initially the downtime actually considered as a 15 minutes, but it is increasing based on the response by my DBA, and they have their own genuine reasons, right? Downtime. What can be done? So some softwares came in the market. Some softwares came in the market. They are claiming that, okay, boss, we will take care of your services or resources. Don't bother about or don't depend on any DBA. What is that? It's like a cluster software. So we got the cluster softwares in the market, right? We got. So what they are doing, they're running on both the servers, and they communicate each other. They'll be communicating each other. So we have our Oracle instance, everything is running, listeners, everything is running on this node, the production database, and they are registered with my cluster now. The other side cluster is also actively running there, right? Whenever anything happens, this database instance or this cluster is down, immediately he is notified that, okay, that instance is down or something, he is going to bring up the services. Not only for your Oracle, even for non-Oracle also these clusters work. Any applications, any services, they're capable of managing, they're guaranteed, proved. So that's why these products came in the market saying, boss, we provide you the maximum availability, don't depend on any DBAs or persons, right? Human beings, any problem possibilities are there. So this cluster softwares, right, took the market from so long, right, giving you the availability. What they do, they have two features, special features. One, right, so whenever anything happen, right, so if the services are down here, they are trying to restart the services on the same server. Even that is possible. I'll try to restart, or based on the configuration again, they will be restarting the services. No, right, they are communicating to the other cluster is going to start the services on the other server. This is like a failover of service. So one I can call it as they do the restart of services, another is that they failover of the services they do. Okay? They try to on the same based on the configuration what you wanted. So these two are there. Clusters came in market. So Oracle also understood this requirement and they came with their own software, a new software first release for this called as a 9i RAC, real application clusters. 9i RAC. So 9i RAC, what is the real application clustering part? So they use some third parties or operating system OS clusters to build this environment. And when they found that it is perfectly suitable, but what is the main beauty of this one? These clusters for database, they are designed that it should be always active and active. But coming to our examples, any normal basic example, I told as a backup server, that means it will be always active on the first side and passive on the other side. This is with third party clusters, even you can do for database, active, passive, without RAC. Remember, this is non-RAC. Using third party or OS clusters, you are making your database as active, passive. Database applications or anything, you can make it. But Oracle, what they did, they use this cluster and they redesigned their Oracle, and they are providing you now active and active configuration. That means on both the sides, my services are running, my instances are running, my listeners are running. Let users connect from both the sides and continue their work. Main purpose, availability, as even one server is down, still my users can continue from the second site. Second, load balancing is also given in RAC, Oracle RAC, I can say, because both sides are active. What are the user communities there that can be distributed on both the sides, both machines, right? And they can access the same set of data. This way, these clusters came in market and they brought you what? The availability. The third last question what we have here, the availability is a concern, so taken care, right? So we are getting our availability using the clusters. Perfect. So what is required? Multiple components, very thing, hardware level, machine level. We require two servers, two storages, and clusters need to communicate each other, right? If I look at the diagram now, the diagram will be something like this. I got multiple servers. Right? And I got the storages, multiple storages. You got it, multiple storages, and they're all interconnected. So storage access is available through iSCSI, right, or FC. My cluster is communicating through a separate network, and my users are connecting through a separate network. This is called as a public network for me. So all my users, they always connect through this network. So whenever you are accessing server, you have to connect through network, right? This network is called as the public here in this case, right? And cluster, I can ask my cluster to communicate with us using the same network, but I see that my common network, public network, is already busy transferring lot of data from my DB server to application servers, and many more users were connected within the same network bandwidth, right? I don't want my cluster way to communicate, because cluster has to communicate, and all your availability concept is based on cluster. If cluster is delayed or slow or something, you're losing the availability, right? So I don't want, better to have a separate network card, a dedicated network card. Very simple basic question I ask, man. Once you are engaged, not married, once you are engaged, how many mobile phones you maintain? By default, right? Nature. Two. One is for office and all family members, and the other one is for personal, right? Always round the clock, headphone with headphone communication. Why? Because if even my boss is calling, okay, just hold, I'm not disconnecting the call, please hold right here, and I'm going to take the call. Boss, I'll be in office in next 10 minutes, I'm on the way. Answering them. I want a dedicated communication. I don't want it to be interrupted. The same case here, right? So coming to the clustering part, you require a dedicated communication between the clusters. So let me have a separate network. This network, I call it as a private network, or even interconnect. We call it the private network or even interconnect. So you require two networks. One is public, all my users are connecting from there. The other network is called as a private network, only cluster is communicating between them. And we have one more iSCSI or FC communication to my storages, FC or iSCSI communication to access my storage box. Perfect. This kind of architecture or design, we call it as a SAN architecture. We call them as a SAN. What is SAN? Storage Area Network, or even we call it as a NAS. What is that? Network Attached Storage. Both of them are, the design is same, but the way you use the storage is different, that's all. The same, multiple servers accessing the same storage, multiple servers in SAN and NAS, both are same. But what is happening in the NAS? In the NAS, whatever the disks are there, you are creating a mount point here. You are create whatever the disk is there, you are formatting the disk with some file system, and you are trying to mount this, right? You will be mounting it, the disk, onto a server. So where the format happened? The format happened locally in the storage. If I'm formatting it with NTFS, I can mount it only on Windows machine, no other machines, right? But coming to the SAN, the disk, the complete disk, a block, whatever the disk is there, I'm giving it to my server, so it is seen as a local disk for me. Now based on my operating system, my options, whatever I have, I can format this disk accordingly. So if it's a Linux, I can use ext2, ext3, ext4, whichever the one I want, I can do. That is at server level, you can control, right? So coming to the NAS, that much of flexibility is not there at the server level. They are already formatted at the storage and simply mounted. Something like a network drive got shared. That is NAS architecture, right? SAN. So coming to database and RAC environments, what we call SAN architecture is preferred. Even you can go with the NAS, but SAN is most of the environments you can see the SAN. Perfect. Okay, so we call it as a SAN and NAS. Now, there are a few more things are there. Let's try to understand about them. Okay, is it giving me the maximum availability? Because we came here to this step. What is this? To gain the availability. As perfect, we can say perfectly. We can say if I make some point, right? In case one server is down, still I am able to continue from the other server. One server is down, I am able to continue from the other. Even one storage is down, I am able to continue from the another server, right? The question comes here, if one network card fails here, are you able to access the server? Yeah, you can continue your work from the second, but because in a big environment where you want to distribute data, a huge data was transferred, distributed around 60-70% each server is loaded, 60-70% each server loaded, and one of the network card failed and the complete load is going to the second server. It can kill the second server also even in that case. So in those situations, why? Because one of the network card failed, right? The complete load is going on. My server is still active, running. Only network card is having a problem. So what should I do? Better bring one more network card, right? Use multiple network cards, right? Multiple network cards. So how I'm connecting, how I will be connecting? Okay, so let's take a look at another diagram for this better, right? So I got a server 1, I got server 2 and storages, right? We have a switch, right? So where all my users are getting connected, and I have one network card here connected, and I'm planning to have one more network card like this. I got one network card from here and I'm planning to have one more network card from this like this. Perfect. So multiple network cards. So when I talk about multiple network cards, each device, each card is a device. I can see in my server like a ETH0, ETH1, and for each one device to access I have to assign an IP. I can't give the same IP for the second network card, right? So obviously I'll be giving another IP. So let me consider here 192.168.10. I'm using the last one, right? That is .21 for this one and for this .22, right? I can even in that case I'll be giving another IP .23 and 24 here. So now you're saying that you want to connect always through 21 to the server, and in case if this network is not available, you want to continue your connectivity through 22. So somewhere in your application or connectivity level, connection level in between, right? Say somewhere you have to define that you always try with 21. 21 is not there, then try with 22. Some manual interaction is required because always I'm connecting through 21. Then I'm asking it to be changed in case they are not available. Somewhere you have to define and control, right? Becomes again a manual interaction required. So when you talk about manual, that depends on the person who is doing the time. I don't want this, so there is an option available. What? You don't assign the IP addresses here. We have two network cards, perfect, fine. So what should I do? Group these multiple network cards into one logical card. So I'll be creating one logical drive, virtual drive, by grouping these multiple cards. We call it as a grouping, trunking, NIC bonding, network interface, right? NIC bonding, we call it. I'm grouping. So once you grouped, you assign the IP address for this. What is that? 21. So I'm giving a 21 here. 10.21, last number. 21. And when you're trying to do this grouping trunking based on the network card and the driver you are using, you can configure it as a active. This one should be active, the other one should be always passive. I can configure. No, based on the card and driver, even you can configure active. Means both will be active, as you can. Active passive means what? Only one will be active. 21 I'm always connecting through this one. In case if it is down, I'm connecting with the second one. In active I am able to communicate to the same 21 from this network card or from the another network card. Load is distributed, right? Load is distributed at the card level also. Perfect. But all depends active based on the cards and the drivers should support, then only. Else by default normally you can do active passive anytime. Sysadmin guys, storage administrators or network administrators, they'll be doing this one. You don't bother about it. Right, grouping and trunking. So the same case I will be doing on the other side also, obviously, right? So I'll be grouping and trunking, and I'm giving a IP address here also. So I'll be giving IP address. Let me take as a there the 21 given. I will take it here as a 22 IP address. Perfect. Grouping and trunking. Okay. The same thing, let me do it. Okay, there's one more question here. So like this, I'm improving the availability, right? Even one network card failed, I'm able to continue from the other one. Availability was guaranteed, improved, perfect. But question comes here again, because like me, a lot of guys are there who raise these questions always. So if my question is that, if my switch get failed, now you tell me how you'll connect to the server 1, 21 or 22. Switch is failed, right? There's only one switch. Oh no, I can't connect. So what should I do? Let me have one more switch. In case one switch is failed, I should continue from the other one. Basic formula, logic. So let me try that one. So what should I do? I require multiple switches. So I bought multiple switches here for communication, and I'll be using it. How? Let's see. Right, the first, second is going to the second. Perfect. So what is happening here? When I'm trying to connect with the first one, first network card like this. If this is failed, I'm automatically continuing my work from the second one. If network card failed or switch failed, still I'm able to access 21S. So in that situation, I have to do the same thing with my other layers also. Right? Private interconnect is also bonded with multiple cards. You have to do this. Then only you are going to gain the availability, else it is difficult. I hope you understood now. Right? This is called as a multipathing. So by doing this one, I am improving the availability of my servers, storages, everything. What is required? Multiple network cards, multiple switches, multiple storages, multiple servers. Each and every layer, multiple components, redundant components are required, which gives me the more